Oops. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to TLDC, TLD Cast. We are the Training, Learning, and Development Conference Community Chat. And what did I forget? Conference Cast. That's right. Well, I already said that one. Maybe that's why it wasn't triggered in my brain. But we're going to have a fantastic day today, everybody. It's Monday, and normally that means we talk about you. We talk about you, the professional, because you are the center of the rings of focus.
I fell into a burning ring of fire.
Just haven't played that in a while. Felt the need to do so. But today we're going to skip that. Today is our another spontaneous UK invasion, and we have the wonderful Joe Cook hanging out with us today. How are you, Joe?
Hey, I'm good. Although the bugs that are going round, I've still got a bit of a croaky throat, so you'll have to excuse me. But I've got my herbal tea. I'm all good.
Oh, good. Yes, as long as you've got the herbal tea, you should be quite all right. Is it tea time over there? I mean, I don't know how that works.
My cucumber sandwiches and my very British cup of tea, you mean?
Yeah. Okay. Good. That works. I always forget all the technicalities. Let me see if I can get us over to here. So I don't know if Luis has jumped in yet or not. Yes, Luis is there. Luis, I'm going to have you jump in unless I didn't catch your Slack message because I closed Slack prematurely. Sorry about that. But if you would like to jump in, because we were going to try to do this as a regular Monday sort of thing. So I'm shooting you an invite. And we can fill all 4 of the squares. We can be like the Hollywood squares. I loved last Friday filling all the squares. So gosh darn it, we should do it today too. And I don't know if everybody else feels the same way I do, but I really think Luis should be hanging out with me every morning in one of the squares. I don't think he should get to just bail. But anyways, while we're waiting for him to jump in, I will just do a little ditty about the week ahead. He probably didn't check his Slack yet and didn't realize I asked if he was going to jump in, but take a look at that. Look, today we've got Joe Cook on talking about LT18 in the UK, the hashtag LT18UK. For those of you that do not know, Learning Technologies Conference. Every year, the biggest event in the UK around learning technologies. It is, I can absolutely recommend it. And I can also vouch for the fact that it is big. It is huge. And next year they're going to be in a new location. So maybe we can even talk about that a little bit if Joe has any insights, with that, having the inside scoop and all that with the important people. But we also have another fantastic guest. Brian Jones is going to be with us. For those of you who have seen his report out on trends, he polls a lot of industry folks and asks them what they think their industry, what they think the industry trends are going to be for the new year. And he did a fantastic job this year. He went way above and beyond and did some media stuff. The blog post that he did was really cool. Lots of Twitter imagery for everyone to be tweeting out, lots of blog fodder as well. So he does good work, and so it'll be fun to have him here. We were supposed to have him on the day that he released that, or the day after. I think it was the Thursday before TLD, the TLDC 18. And he ended up having an emergency he had to go take care of. I can't remember now exactly what it was. It wasn't anything serious, but it was a family thing. He needed to go. So family first is always the mantra around here. So whenever that happens, we certainly don't mind filling in because we've got plenty of folks. Just like I said at TLDC 18, at any given time, I could reach out into the audience and say, hey, can you fill in? Can you talk about something? And we've got such smart people that I am certain everybody can handle doing a session at an event, or jump in and do TLD cast, or manage a conversation in chat. And Oh, the old Firefox Chrome dilemma. Yes, that will get you every time, Luis. That will get you. I'm going to have you come on anyways, man, because I do not do the week justice. You gotta get on here. Let me find you here. Oh, wait, I already invited you. The invite is still out there, my man. There we go. My click was a little slow. Why can I not find you? There it is. Okay. Accepting and connecting, it says. Is that working for you, Luis? I don't know. We'll see. But I'll keep talking about it. But you can come in and talk about all the other stuff too. But open forums this week. Hey, you know what? Since we just had TLDC 18, what I've decided I think would be super fun is talking about some of the topics that were hot at TLDC 18 and filling those open forum days focused on those. So I will tell you more about that in a minute. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, the host with the mostest, Luis Malbus.
Can you hear me? I'm here. Hi, Joe. Hi, everybody. And I did see your message, Brent. You probably didn't see my reply. Oh, thank you. Okay, so where were you? Did you talk about Brian Jones already?
Yes, I did, but you can add to it if you'd like.
We're excited about that one. He canceled that last time, so this one, it's going to be great. I think that everyone is really going to love seeing what those 2018 e-learning trends are. So tune in for that one. Then Wednesday, we've got our open forum on teams. That is always a hoot because everybody loves to talk about their team, right? Everybody talk about your team.
Even if you're a one-man team, it's all good.
And then Thursday, Toddy Norum was kind enough to get Kevin M. Yates in. He is, I don't know if any of you know Kevin. I personally have seen a little bit of his work, but not a lot. And so I'm really, really excited to see him on Thursday. I hope you guys are too. And then let's see, we've got Christina listed on there, but she's not going to be around until Valentine's Day. She is fascinating. I was actually looking at her profile, her author profile on Amazon.com, and she's a fiction writer as well as being a learning professional. So she'll be great on Valentine's Day. And then I used a picture of Brent for Video Friday. See that? That was kind of I just cracked up when I saw it, and I thought, hey, we're gonna go with this image for Video Friday. And I don't know if we have anything scheduled for Video Friday, but hopefully Sam will be in and we'll be talking nerd stuff. I really do want to start talking about the L&D thing at some point because that has been a lot of fun to talk about on social media.
Yeah, everybody's been chatting that up pretty good for sure. And I mean, I think there's so many different ways we can approach that and figure out how we can make it a mixed sort of event, right? I mean, it takes most of the time. I was saying that it was a day long or a weekend long ordeal when I was a kid. I mean, we've focused on it. It would take forever. So it's going to be tons of fun. Like if we could do all the character building and the team or the group formation virtually online, then when everybody meets, your characters are already rolled, you know who you are, you've created your name, all that kind of stuff. And then all you need to do is do the quest with your dungeon master. And, as long as they're not day long quests, I think that would work out. But the thing that scared me, and I'm kicking myself for not going and hanging out with those guys. It just wasn't. I just didn't think I could handle that. I'm getting too old. So
no. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, my parents were seriously concerned about me because, on Friday and Saturday nights, I'd be hanging out with my friends playing D&D, and they're like, "Shouldn't you be going out with girls or something?" And I'm like, "Nope, gotta fight some orcs." Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad. Busy.
Yes, the Demogorgons.
Anyway,
they're
I'm super looking forward to what Joe has to say about learning technologies because I have never been to that event. I've always wanted to check it out. It always has been it's just so much fanfare, right? And even that awards night, I'm so curious about that awards night. I mean, I have never, I mean, I think I've been to one sort of formal event like that in my life. And of course I wasn't dressed up. I just showed up by mistake, but I'm excited to hear about those awards too. I don't know if you were there, Joe, but it'd be really cool to
so
hear
there's the Learning Technologies Awards, which happens in December actually, and I was there. And the awards that happened last week is the Learning and Performance Institute Awards, which is a different organisation, and I wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
Which is just as well, because I was so knackered from the conference.
Oh,
I might have had one drink and fallen asleep.
Yeah, because if we do awards, I don't know what our awards look like here in the U.S., but people probably just show up in shorts and flip-flops, right? We're just the complete opposite.
Especially if it's in Arizona.
Not at the Dorchester Hotel in London, darling.
Right.
You are suited and booted within an inch of your life.
Yeah,
right. I see the pictures, and all the guys are in tuxedos, and the ladies are all dressed to the nines, and it's like, wow, that's impressive. I just don't think
Brent,
we
you
could pull that off here.
Yeah, you look great, Brent.
You know what? I do. I have one suit.
We saw it on day one of TLDC.
I'm telling you, I pulled out all the stops. I wanted to make a good impression, but all I did was end up making myself feel extremely uncomfortable the whole day. So, I hope everybody appreciated my effort.
I definitely did. And I'm gonna jump out and get back to drinking my coffee and cleaning up. I'm still unpacking in here, if you can't tell. So, have a good day, you guys. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
All right,
see
man.
You guys.
Yeah, good to see you. All right, I'm gonna drop that. You know what I should actually do is find the website link for it. We don't need to do the origin story today, I don't think, but just for those people who may not know who you are, do a quick introduction, Joe Cook.
I will do. I think, Marco, you might need to mute. Oh, you've probably done it now. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, maybe even good evening, depending on where you're seeing this and when you're watching it. My name is Joe Cook. I have a company, Lightbulb Moment, and what we do is we focus on virtual classroom training, webinar training to help everybody do amazing virtual events, a little bit like Brent is doing here. And also, you probably know that a couple of days a month I work for Training Journal magazine here in the UK, and it's an international website as well. And so between both of those things, I get to go to things like conferences and the awards as well, which we were talking about. And I've got a link to the Learning Technologies Awards Twitter stream. So if you want to go and have just a quick look through and see how smart everyone was, then you can do that by having a click on there. And I was at the Learning Technologies conference and exhibition last week, which is why Brent wants me here.
Fantastic. And we also have our good friend and community member, Marco Faccini. Welcome, Marco.
Hi, Brent.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, Joe.
And tell everybody who you are real quick.
Who am I? I wear lots of hats. So I'm wearing a hat today in honor of Louis Mabas, of course. It'd be remiss of me. So I own a company. I'm an investor. I sit on some tech funds. I'm a non-exec director, and I do a lot of VR consultancy.
Fantastic. It's just been too long since you've been here, so we have to do the intros just because we've had a lot of new people come on board over the last few weeks, and so I think everybody needs a quick opportunity to do those reintroductions. Right. So obviously, I'm certain everybody is aware by the accents that you both are in the UK and that you were both at LT18. And so that's what we were going to talk about. So maybe, Joe, start us off with just a brief overview. I mean, maybe historical, if you know anything about that or where it started or you know, who it all belongs to and whatnot. But, you know, just give us kind of a quick, what the heck is it?
Okay. So Learning Technologies as a conference has been running, I think, 14 years. 14 years it's been in the location of Olympia Conference Centre in Kensington, which is in West London, which is really big. And it's grown from just a few different stands and really small kind of little areas that you can go through up to what it is today, which is just the most monolithically huge, stunning, almost overwhelming to some points, kind of conference and exhibition. So there's two parts to it. There's the paid for conference, so it's circa £1,400. So you can put that into your own currency for a ticket to the conference. And what I put a link to in the chat window, and I'll do that again in case you want to grab it, is the conference program. So what Brent is showing you is the website, which gives you a nice overview of some of what's there. And the conference program is what you would pay for and the options that you can get. The dates for next year, Katie, 13th and 14th, or 12th and 13th, I can't remember, of February next year.
13, 14.
Thank you. I knew it was Valentine's Day next year. I couldn't remember which side of Valentine's Day it fell on.
Oh, that's going to cause some problems.
I just said, well, you're with your L&D people that you love, so maybe that's okay. And so that's next year. Historically, so it's grown massively. The conference has, I don't work for the conference as a, I don't get paid for working for the conference or anything. So this is my understanding of it. The conference has around about 2,000 people there, and the exhibition has around about 4,000 people a day going through, and the exhibition is completely free to go to. There's loads of free seminars that you can go to, often standing room only. In terms of exhibitors, I have no idea how many there are. Lots, to the point that I was really surprised that some of your American colleagues, we had Patty Shank, we had Shannon Tipton, RJ as well was over there, and some of them were saying we are surprised at how big these events are. These events are huge, and I just assumed that some of the conferences over in the States and the exhibitions were much bigger. So that really put that into context for me.
Yeah, that was the thing that really shocked me when I was there a few years ago, was how big that expo is, and just like how many vendors are there. I think the closest thing we have here is ATD Ice is a pretty big, has a pretty big, decent sized expo. Yeah, I don't know if it's just that setup in that Olympia hall that makes it look even bigger maybe than it really is, but yeah, it is just
it's not that, it is huge,
massive. It's hard.
I think they had stand names and numbers, so you have like A1, A2, A3 and so on, and the training journal stand was stand V16, and there were other stands after the training journal stand. So there were 26 letters and numerations within that. So that's 26 times whatever. There you go. That's the floor plan. And that's all the exhibitors that were listed there. So you can get a sense of that. And Richard says, I always think DevLearn is probably as big. Yeah, Richard, from the people that have been to DevLearn and have been to LT, they say that it's different, but it's a similar in terms of kind of size, is what I was hearing.
Yeah, I don't know if there's this many vendors at a DevLearn though. I mean, the exhibitor list here is just huge. I mean, this is a lot of booths.
And some of these booths are really small. So the training journal one was really small. It was literally, if you had two people standing in the booth, you were full. And some of them.
Well, that was kind of the nice thing that I liked about the setup there, was that there's plenty of room for the big 20 by 20s. There's plenty of room for the 10 by 20s. There's plenty of room for 10 by 10s. And then there's the really nice, small, up against the wall are the little like table booths all the way across. And I think it's cool because it gives those smaller vendors the ability to be a part of it and to participate, when they can't afford, $100,000 for a whole, a whole get up and the whole thing. So yeah, it's cool. I like the way they do it.
And there was a really cool thing there this year, actually. There's a marketing or an L&D marketing company called Nan Caro Marketing or Nan Caro Partnerships. And what Issy, who runs that company, had done is she got quite a long, narrow booth, is the wrong term because it was a bit more open than that, but she got a long, narrow area. And rather than it being Nan Caro Marketing, she called it a launch pad. And there was something like, Marco, you would have seen it as well, 18 or 20 different companies there, all kind of smaller startups or smaller companies. And rather than having to pay £5,000, £10,000. I don't know how much an area costs for something small, but they all would have chipped in a little bit and shared that area. So they just had a little table. There was loads of conversation and collaboration. It was really great idea.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. They do something similar, like at South by Southwest. They do a whole section or area for a country, a full-blown country, which I thought was just amazing. So all the startups would get together, pool their money, and anybody that wanted to be in that country section. So all the Korean startups would be in one area that's all the Korean stuff, right? All of there was a big Japanese section with all the startups going on there, and Australia had their own section, and they would theme it and everything. So there's one large organization that manages the whole thing, but then they invite all of these different groups to participate, which I thought was really, really brilliant. But don't mean to get us off track. I like that sharing. I like the idea of the sharing concept.
Absolutely.
So it's a standard type of conference. We do keynotes, and then there's sessions, and then of course there's the expo. Maybe we should just kind of just start and run down. Did anything stand out from the keynote perspective? Marco, I'll go over to you and see if there's anything that struck you.
I suppose what struck me really more than anything was the common themes. So AI was big this year. Social collaboration was very big this year. Chatbots.
Oh.
So chatbots in relation to AI in particular. So yeah, I think for me, because keynotes are keynotes, and people talk a lot about the future of and that sort of thing, but there were some very common themes, not just the keynotes, but also the seminar sessions. And it might help this conversation to, the way that this is set up. You've got one floor, which is the exhibition, and then upstairs you've got a conference area where you've got about 1,000 delegates. So you've got two very clear floors. And upstairs, obviously, keynotes and sessions, etc., paid for delegates. Downstairs, you've got your vendors, but typically the vendors and others will have a half an hour slot to talk about not just their wares per se, but how their wares might overcome a particular challenge in the business. So what was nice is, the answer to your question, the themes that I've mentioned were sort of both upstairs and downstairs.
That's what I was just going to say. So tell us, so when you say themes and you recognize these themes, obviously we all go into these events with a little bit of a bias, things that we're looking out for in particular. But I think the AR, let's just start there. Did you see people talking about it? Was there a keynote and sessions and in the expo, or did you see it just more heavily in one area than the other? Or what really struck you and made that be a trend that pops for you?
Was that me or Joe? Joe, you answer that one.
Oh, thanks.
And then Brent's bandwidth.
Yeah, we heard you, Brent. So what makes it a theme? I think it becomes a theme in different areas, and it depends on, like you say, your unconscious bias of what you're looking for. And it depends also what you go to. So Mike, who's my business operations manager, has just put in the chat window that he attended 2 sessions about AR and VR, and it was really interesting. Whereas I didn't attend those at all. I saw them, they were there. And I think it also depends who you talk to and the vendors and what their approaches are. So you can always go and find a little bit of what you want. I must admit, I didn't find much about virtual classrooms, which obviously is my area that I'm interested in. But Mike's saying he went from being on the fence to being more convinced about it in the future, which would be music to Marco's ears. And I think that's the strength, is that there's so much on. So there were 5 tracks that you could choose between in the conference, and in the exhibition, in the expo, I couldn't tell you how many seminars that there were, but lots. So you can always go and find something, whether it's more of a soft skill or a technology or a platform. There's something that will suit your taste and usually your budget as well. I chaired a lunchtime session in the conference, which was about smart learning on a tight budget. And for some people, that tight budget was going from £700,000 to £200,000 and saving all that money. For other people, that was zero budget, and what can we do for free? So and with what 8,000 10,000 people coming through the entire 2 days, there's a lot of variance that you've got to cover in there.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, and that's one of the things I like to talk about here. I've said it before, but those are the realities of what we deal with, right? And those that, what a tight budget is to one person in one company is, raining money to another company or another person. So, Marco, what was your feeling from a trending perspective when you're talking with people? Are they getting it? Did you see that people were starting to realize and to understand the idea of what AR is and how it can work?
AR and VR. Let's put them in the same camp, I suppose. The answer is absolutely. Sure. They are. What was quite striking in a way, though, is that whilst upstairs in the conference, that was sort of running through a lot of sessions and referenced a lot. From a vendor perspective, two vendors actually showcasing something meaningful. So whilst the talks up here happening downstairs on the application side, not so much so. But and I don't know, I haven't worked it through. I'm sort of still thinking it through a lot. Maybe the vendors have looked at the learning space and thought, okay, that's going to be a space, but that's not where our bread and butter is right now. And let's go over into these other sectors. And I'm certainly noticed those VR, AR vendors that sort of came into the market with a learning bias on it. And we did this at Immerse. This was a great example at Immerse. We moved away from that because the traction was so much slower, and we were seeing traction and engagement in other sectors. And it was a case of, let's not pigeonhole ourselves. We're being a little bit silly here from a business model perspective. Let's sort of open it up a little. And that's not a bad thing. We've talked about this many times, certainly the silos between marketing and learning, and certainly the work that I've done the last 6-9 months. Typically, it's been the marketing, certainly in VR, marketing engaging and paying for VR. We're then able to put it in the workflow for the learning element. So, maybe the world is changing, and in my mind, that's a good thing. That's a good thing that we've now not got that silo.
And I think it was going back to the idea of going to a conference generally and what people get out of it. Brent, it might be really good to invite Mike Lightbulb in to speak just for a few moments, because he had a real turnaround in his view about virtual reality. As a conference delegate, Mike's gone, oh no, he doesn't mean that. He'd love to be on camera, I'm sure. And just tell us very briefly that story of going in thinking one thing and why coming out thinking another, even though you can go and research stuff, you can go and read something, but it's the experience that I think which makes the difference.
And Brent, while you're on that, just going back to your point about what makes a theme, if you like, what sort of brings that up. I think for me, what does that is that whilst you've got the sessions which provokes the thoughts, what I notice is it's the corridor conversations, it's then the conversations in the pub afterwards. Those themes keep coming up. People keep probing, keep asking, what if I did this? Have you got experience of that? That, I think, is what's making it a theme, or particular elements are making it a theme.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for clarifying that, because it always the pub, yes, where all the themes really start popping, right? For sure. Hi, Mike. Thanks for jumping in and jump in there. I think it looks like we currently have you muted. I can unmute you, but I don't want to redo it. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, just going on Joe's comment. Definitely when it came to VR, I experienced VR 15, 16 years ago. And I think it really gave me a negative view of how it could work. And but actually seeing some actual live examples in one of these sessions, and mainly, I mean, VR was interesting, but AR, the augmented reality, really, I think straight away I sat and went, I can see how this can work. I can see teams coming together, collaborating on something. And yeah, it really just completely changed my mind in that one session. I literally just sat there going, yeah, I can see the future of this, and how could we actually start to use it as well?
Which session was it? Do you remember? Or do you remember who gave it, or
Got it written
what?
down right here.
Unlike when we did our reflection videos, and go, it was some guy whose name I don't know.
Exactly. So it was.
He was awesome, though.
It was virtual and augmented reality with Ron Edwards and Peter Dorkintis. I'd say he was from Microsoft. But
okay, yeah, neither names sound familiar to me. I thought I might know them.
yeah,
but
no,
maybe
it was.
not. Marco probably.
I know them.
Marco. Yeah, there we go. Marco will be able to tell you more.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing, Mike. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's always good to hear that because I think we're still in that spot. I know everybody's really feeling like the groove for AR and VR right now, more so than ever, but I really do still feel like there is a significant chunk of our industry that is still kind of where you were, right? Still feeling like, and maybe it's just because they haven't seen it in action yet the way you did, and maybe just whatever they need triggered to make them feel like this is going to be something they can use. They just haven't seen it yet, or they just haven't made the connection yet, which is totally fine. Which is another point I like to make, is that everybody is on a different place in their journey in learning about L&D and which tools they want to apply and whatnot. And there is no right or wrong. That, everybody gets to where they need to be at just the right time. And same with the vendors and the community, and everything that you're applying in the work that we all do in training and learning and development. It's a vast spectrum, and I think we all do better together when we respect where everybody is in different spots.
It's interesting you say that. I've just seen Hannah Weissam come on, and I met Hannah for the first time at the exhibition, and we had her on a video. It's really awesome, and she works for Kineo. And Hannah says, as a vendor, a lot of the conversations I had with smaller companies were about how they can use digital to scale their face-to-face offering. And for the first time this year, things like AR entered those conversations, as the price and the tech is no longer prohibitively expensive. So all of those things really coming together.
Yeah, wow, that's an incredible statement to hear, for sure, because most of the time, that's when they're having those conversations about how can we scale face to face. Rarely is AR and VR a part of that equation. But wow, for people to actually be mixing those in, that is really good, for sure. Wow, thanks, Hannah. And it's always fun to meet people at the events, right? For the first time.
Yes.
Everybody's favorite.
Yeah. Whether it's because you've engaged with them on Twitter, so it's just a name. Those are the ones I find the best. Your Twitter PLN that you actually come to meet face to face for the first time. So, Joe mentioned AJ and Shannon, so that was great for me. One that you missed, Joe, you might not have met her, was Trish Uhl. So Trish Uhl.
I met Trish.
Oh, yeah.
Trish,
She's almost as tall as me.
She is almost as tall as you and me, of course. So it's great meeting those people whose work you follow, who you engage with and chat with in the social sphere, to actually meet for the first time and realize, and this is what I like, those people, they're real, they're genuine, and they're real. So there's no facade, there's no personas. What they are on Twitter is what they are face to face.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Even though I did make a faux pas with Shannon. So yeah, I did make a bit of a faux pas there.
Did somebody have to call HR?
I think it was bigger than that. So I did say to her, "Oh my God, you look so much younger face to face than you do on TLD cast." That was probably not the right thing to say, but there you go.
I didn't notice a black eye. She must have been exceptionally well behaved.
I said it while I was stood up. So yeah.
Moving swiftly on, Brent, we're at 36 minutes past, and I think you need to have a little moment.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Thank you for hitting the button for me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, you know what? Mike, I'm gonna have to close your video if that's okay, my friend. I'm gonna drop you out there so I can bring in a screenshot. And whoa, excuse me. and talk about our wonderful sponsors here for TLD Cast. We, having just come off TLD C18, I keep wanting to say, you know, all of our sponsors for the event, but we actually also have sponsors who are supporting us here and helping us keep our infrastructure running and wanting to be a part of what we do at TLD Cast. And of course, Mindspace supported us as our gold sponsor at TLDC 18. And they will also want to just be a part of our community. And so I just want to give them a quick shout out and again say thank you. It is one of the few companies that I've found very interestingly that made the transition from digital ad creative agency to the L&D market, L&D world. And so they bring a very, very, very interesting flavor to the work that they do, which is just fantastic. So I'm still getting to know these guys and gals, and they're all getting to know the industry and everybody, you know, and what the, you know, what the buzz is and what the conversation is. So reach out to these guys. Super nice. If you met them at TLDC 18, you can vouch for me there for sure. But stay in touch with these guys and let them know, say hi and engage with them. But also our sponsors for TLDC and the TLD Cast. Be sure to engage with all of these folks. This is about as heavy of sponsorship text as I have, but I just want to say thank you to all of these folks that have kind of believed in what we're doing here at TLDC, and they see the difference we make, and they see the impact, and they see the value that you all bring to this community. It's not just any value that TLDC brings to you guys. We're just the platform. We facilitate these conversations, and we're here for you. And this space is all for you. And if you're not getting value out of what we talk about every day, don't just leave and just bail on us and go somewhere else. Let us know what you'd rather see, and we can fix it. Because again, this is your community. TLDC is yours, and if we're missing the mark somehow for you, let us know so that we can help fix that. Okay, I know my biggest problem is that I talk too much, and it's okay. I always appreciate your mind that I should. I'm practicing. This is me learning out loud, right? All of the initial work with live streaming, I did live just because I was testing it out, and it was one big experiment. But you can only experiment so long before you really have to start learning from all those experiments. So I appreciate all the feedback, and I am working on it, and you guys all help me get better at this every single day. So I appreciate you hanging in there, supporting us, and being a part of the community and engaging with each other. There's so much more that we have in store for you guys, and we're really, really excited about bringing it to you as we grow slowly. We don't want to grow too fast. We want to make sure that it's very thoughtful in how we bring in new people and new sponsors and new value that we bring to you. So just hang with us, help us out. And the volunteer community, just want to give a quick shout out to everybody that shares in TLD chat and goes that extra mile and steps up for us, like the wonderful Sam Rogers, who is a live streaming machine. If any of you want to know how he was able to do that, or if you want to book him for your events, I'm not exactly sure if I'm stepping outside of the bounds, but man, he did such a great job. If you guys just don't take him if your event is the same week as mine, but if you have it at a different month or something like that, go ahead and talk to Sam, and he can make that happen for you. He does such great work all the way around as far as media is concerned. So definitely get connected with him. And we're also talking about doing a TLDC UK meetup. So, we can maybe talk about that a little bit too, but let me just drop this commercial because it's gone far too long. and just be sure to say thank you to everybody, all of you that help out and volunteer so much. So many nice things I could say. You know, just thank you. You all know I love you and appreciate you. So, so thanks again, as always. All right. So what else? We talked a little AR, VR. What else stood out for you at the event, Joe?
I think for me, something that was really good was that the conference sessions and in the exhibition, I just felt everybody had stepped up this year. So bearing in mind, it's always a great event. Bearing in mind, there's always great conversations and great sessions. Certainly what I saw was better quality even than last year and the last couple of years. I thought there was more variety. Closer Still, who own learning technologies, are doing a little bit more experimentation. So in the conference, for example, we had some lunchtime sessions. So these were the kind of sessions, they weren't necessarily a big name or a big topic to draw people in, but they were the kind of thing you could grab your lunch, go and sit in, and there was somebody just having a bit of an experiment. So that was really good. I think the certainly the seminar sessions that I saw, not many, but the feedback I hear about the seminar sessions is that they are getting much better quality. So bearing in mind, these are usually vendors who've got a stand and they're talking on their topic. When I go back to when I was first going to LT, and you'd read the description about topic X and go, yeah, really interesting. You'd go along and you'd hear a 30-minute sales pitch for their company. And there's Marco shaking his head and going, oh, it was awful. And you know, there'd be hardly anyone sitting there because they were all rubbish. And exactly, Marco, these days you have to be there kind of 20 minutes, 30 minutes ahead of time to get a seat. There's standing room only because the seminar sessions are so great, to the point that why would you pay for the conference when the seminar sessions are so good? So there's almost a point at which something has to kind of change. So they're a different kind of thing. They're different people, they're different, I don't want to say quality, but certainly you're in a very noisy environment and stuff like that. So they are quite different, but all of that was stepped up. And the feeling I got when walking around the exhibition, again, going back a few years, it would be kind of, you're walking around and you get the look at the badge. You're only an L&D advisor at some company we've never heard of. So Turner Broadcasting in the United States, for instance, probably everyone knows who they are. In the UK, is practically unheard of. CNN News, yeah, everyone knows CNN. So that's who I was working for at the time. So one year I put Turner Broadcasting, no interest. The next year I put CNN, and suddenly everyone was happy to chat to me. And I felt there was less of that this year. I felt there was more general engagement from people understanding it's about the conversation rather than just looking at your name tag and deciding you're not a good prospect. So it's always a balance. You know, the time there is precious, it's expensive to go, and you don't want to end up in rubbish conversations, but having that little bit of a balance, that was certainly my understanding. But Marco, you were there as an exhibitor, so you'll have an entirely different perspective from me.
Do you know what, Joe? You raised a fantastic point that I hadn't thought of until you spoke about it there, and it just struck me. So from last year, you know, speaking in years before, speaking at the conference, to this year being down in the steerage and giving a session, or as Toddy says, I think we now call it the fringe. What struck me, and it was only when you were talking, Joe, was the fact that upstairs, it's the audience, I think, that makes the big difference. In that upstairs, you've got heads of learning development and HR directors and consultants. So a higher level, and they're very much more about strategy, I guess, and thinking of implementation. Whereas downstairs, what was stark for me was you've got practitioners. So you've got people who are every day doing it. So they're L&D managers or training managers. So they're a lower level down, if you like. And the quality of questions that they asked me in my session was off the wall. And do you know what? As a speaker, they're the questions you want, because they're actually the questions they're asking you of is, so I'm doing this right now. If I was to do what you're suggesting, how would that work for me? What is the challenge in behind that? So this is people coming at it from a real hands-on day-to-day experience, which for me just made the whole session so much better, because you could just see people nodding, going, yeah, I have that problem as well. It's not about theory or strategy. It's about Yeah, I've got that problem. Oh my God, brilliant question. So if that helps, Joe, yeah, I totally agree with you. Better downstairs. I wouldn't be paying money as a delegate now. I'd be going downstairs for those seminar sessions, especially as they're now not selling to you.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, you know, and I think that message has gotten across to the vendor community pretty strongly that, you know, the best way is to engage with folks is to be a part of the community and to just offer value and to have those conversations and build it. You know, there are those few who are new to our industry, who maybe just got hired on as a salesperson and who are doing the sales thing because that's just what they feel like they need to do. But it's nice to see that as an industry as a whole, we've come around and, you know, it's not just sales pitches all the time. It's actually adding value and sharing, you know, those solutions and problems and, you know, who's got them and help matching people together. So it's,
and I think that's all we want in our profession. You know, we've all got these day-to-day or week-to-week challenges or issues, or is there a better way of doing something? And all we want to do is reach out into our community and go, hey, has anyone got any experience of this? Some real experience, you know, don't give me the bells and whistles, just some real experience to help me overcome this challenge or make it easier or make it better. And, you know, Anthony put in there comment about, yes, upstairs, he thought it was very much about theory. And it just reminded me, you know, this is going back nearly 10 years now. I remember sitting down when I was an e-learning vendor, sitting down with an HR director, and I said, right, let's talk about strategy, L&D strategy. And she said, Marco, we've done strategy to death. I don't want to do strategy. You know, I want to talk about business impact, challenges I've got, how can you help me overcome them as a vendor? And that was 10 years ago. And you know what? It's probably took me not 10 years to realize, but, you know, it takes a while to sink in and go, do you know what? We've moved on from strategy and theory. It's just real life application.
You're absolutely right. And when I spoke at Learning Technology Summer Forum, so there's one day in June in the year where it's basically Learning Technologies conference on a mini scale. So it's one day rather than two. It's free for everybody to come along. So I spoke at the summer conference last year about virtual classrooms. And I was asked to do a more strategic overview session. So I definitely did what I was asked to do. But actually within that, the questions people were having were hands-on tactical questions. So that's definitely what we kind of covered. But speaking of questions, Brent, it's 10 to the hour.
Oh, yeah, we don't have much time to hit those questions, do we? Yikes. All right. We should totally hit these. Okay, here we go. Some of these are more general. So we were chatting about these, Joe and I, beforehand, everyone. So I'm going to start at the top because you voted them up, but we're going to just kind of do a lightning round here. So we'll start here. Are technology providers driving L&D, or are L&D driving the need for technology? I think is a very interesting question. And is there any way we can equate that to kind of what you saw at the event?
Go, Marco. You've got views on this.
Go. Go. So I've got 2 points on this. Vendors are definitely driving it. And the best way I can summarize that is the rebadging of terms. So, you know, micro learning, the classic example. Nothing new. It's been around for at least, well, as long as I've been in the e-learning industry or learning industry. So they're just rebadging it and, you know, putting a different face on it or a different name and going, here you go. So it's not the sector driving it. And just on that, so here's my one doom-monger bit, if you like. I came away from the 2 days with very clear in my mind. I believe, certainly from an e-learning content perspective, not a wider technology, but e-learning content, I actually believe we are in the race to the bottom.
Tell us more, Marco. Why?
Price, fidelity, pedagogy in behind it. You know, everybody's almost peddling the same sort of thing, a few extra little features. And I might be doing a bit of a disservice. So I'm talking as a whole. There are some really good vendors out there, don't get me wrong, but there is a mass of vendors and more coming in each time. And it does feel, I just get a sense, is a bit like a race to the bottom. Who's going to churn it out quick and fast enough and at the cheapest price?
Yeah, speed is always at the, can we do it better, faster, cheaper is always kind of the question on everybody's mind. And sometimes we can, and, everything comes at a price, right? And so it's that balance, I think. And again, I think every company, every business, every practitioner is at a different place along that spectrum, right? And so, working with helping to move everybody along from wherever they're at to just the next level, I think is a great step. And that's what I hope to achieve here with TLDC, is just no matter where you're at in that spectrum, wherever you're sitting, however you feel about the industry, if you can engage with us and we can help you just move one level up, then I feel like we've added some value for you. So it's an interesting place to be because that spectrum is so broad for sure. But anyways, okay. What were your 3 key takeaways from the LT event? Joe, go.
I think go to something new and different that you wouldn't normally do where possible, because you're going to learn something new. And I learned that kind of vicariously a bit more through Mike than I did my own experience, but that was really awesome. I think always it's the conversation, it's the pub, it's the chat, it's having that. You can't always do it, but it's the meeting up face to face, even if it's 2 minutes over a coffee or 45 minutes having a chat. That's the key to do it, because it just blossoms your relationship at some point. And I think the other thing is try something new, go for something different. So you guys probably aware that I was asking for support with microphones a couple of weeks ago before this event, because I wanted to do some Slack. No, I didn't. I wanted to do some Periscope videos, and I did that. And we tried something new on one morning, got loads of great feedback. So I just did loads of exhibition walkarounds, which I hadn't planned to do. I certainly hadn't planned to do the extent that I did. Met loads of lovely people, chatted to some vendors who were a little bit annoying, Marco, but whatever that was about, and yes, Sam, it worked really well. I'm sure there's more I want to improve, and I discovered how many times I said "it must be said," and how many times Mike and I used the word "interesting" in our reflections, to the point that my boyfriend and I were watching the video go ding, ding, ding every time Mike and I said the word "interesting." It's like, oh my god, I need some more filler words. But it was about going out and doing something a bit different, and it got some great feedback. And
you're a fantastic case study for what one of our keynotes at TLDC 18 was talking about. We had Brian Fanzo on talking about just push the damn button, and for you to get out there and actually do that and to do those walkarounds on Periscope, I say cheers to you, and congratulations on just pushing the damn button and doing some really cool stuff and sharing with the community.
Thank you. And I honestly could not have done it as well without Michael. Mike was my camera person. He was directions when I had no idea, because the conference was the exhibition was so huge. I was going, and we're going, and I'd see underneath the camera this little point going that way. I was like, and we're going this way now. Or if I was over time, he'd be like going like this, and and we're going to have a reflection and come back to you next.
That's fantastic. So so Mike was your GoPro. That's my new term that I came up with.
Oh, yeah. Brent.
Right. When you have somebody doing the camera work for you, following you around and doing that live stuff, that's your GoPro.
Quite literally tethered to me, tripping people up, especially when it got really busy, kind of later in the morning. Yeah. Although Mike was like herding sheep. Thanks, Mike. You told me I did a great job, Mike.
All right, Marco, quick to you. What were your 3 key takeaways?
Social collaboration. So people having really meaningful, what I would call correct conversations about how do you do that? Actually, how do you make that happen? What does that look like? What does that really look like? And then above that, which is, so if we do this, what is that impact? What is the impact from the learning perspective? So that's one. I didn't hear the word course very much. In fact, almost hardly at all. And it was only when you come away and reflect on it, you think, oh my God, I didn't hear that word. So I heard resources, assets, bite size, not courses, didn't hear courses. And then the third one was, as I said before, that race to the bottom.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Those are some good ones. Let's hit one of these next questions. I don't want to be too generic here. I hear regularly we have a great system of content. Is that a good one, Joe? Which one do you want to do, Joe? I'll let you pick.
So this is a question about somebody saying, we've got a great system, we've got great content, but people don't use it. What will be the best, most successful technological application in performance in business that will help this? And we could do a whole session on that. We could do a whole
I was going to say, this is a big topic.
Great question, Lizzie. Thank you. I think, is it really a great system? Is it really great content? You've got to ask yourself, how are people accessing it? Can they actually access it easily? You know, if you in L&D can do it, or the person is telling you, you know, go down onto the shop floor, the retail area, the average working area, and find out, do they have to press 3 clicks? Is it 3 passwords that they need? No. So actually find out, is it a great system and is it great content? And it can be about the technology. If you have the wrong technology, it will be a barrier. Nothing is going to make that better. But actually, probably as Kim says, and Katie's saying as well, is actually it might not be the technology. It could be the marketing. It could be the message. It could be they don't know about it. There could be a whole great big thing around that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot we could dissect there for sure. I mean, we talk a lot about needing to market our wares better within the organizations that we're in. You know, something more than just one email announcement, you know, getting better at that, you know, or however we do it. You know, yeah, it is a great question. And it is something that I think we maybe as a community, we need to just be talking about more. I mean, let's take responsibility for it. I do not want to be one of those people that just says, we just need to get better at it. You know, let's do it. Let's figure it out.
Yeah. And I don't think it's a system. I think we're now in that downward slope where we're going to be breaking up our systems. I actually think it's a 3-letter word, and it's app. Use an app.
Don't get me started on apps, Marco. I don't like apps. Apps are terrible. They never work as well as the desktop version.
Yeah.
They always have cut down features. Why would I want to use an app on a tiny screen which doesn't have half the features I need?
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like we've hit a hot button with some of our
context.
With some of our attendees, which is great. So and I think Anthony's over there. Richard, I think, is new. Hello, Richard. Welcome. I'm not exactly sure about that, but yeah, we moved this conversation over to TLD Chat. It's a Slack group. So if you're not part of that group, please feel free to join that. But also shoot us an email or reach out to any of us and let us know what other content you would like us to chat about or talk about as we go along. But we're hitting the top of the hour. So let's just give a quick shout out or pitch or free sort of promo for whatever you want and how people can find you. Marco, you want to start?
So I'm going to forego that. 2 things. One, when Joe started, best excuse I've ever heard for having a croaky voice being that she's got a bug. Rubbish. She just overindulged on the alcohol last week. And as I stayed up till 4 o'clock this morning, Brent, I can't believe you've gone the whole show without mentioning the Eagles.
I did totally skip Super Bowl Sunday, didn't I?
Sorry.
Wasn't everybody tweeting though? Didn't everybody see the tweets? Yes. Congratulations to the now world champion, Super Bowl champs, Philadelphia Eagles. Yes. And I must say I was pulling for them too. And so I probably just lost a whole bunch of viewers by saying that, but it was fun to see them do it.
That was great.
Yeah.
So I forego.
Awesome. Marco, thank you so much, my friend. I'm going to close out your video. Good to see you as always. Cheers. Well, Joe, we did a fantastic show about LT18 UK. There's always just so much more to talk about, and 1 hour just never seems to be enough. But thanks for doing it.
Well, thank you very much. And you guys probably know where to get hold of me already. Webinars and virtual classroom, anything like that, at Lightbulb Joe. At trainingjournal.com, on the Slack channel, and just have a chat, and let's keep that conversation going. And when you said about the Eagles, I was like, yeah, Kim, it's the band. I had not followed the football at all. So thank you very much for having me.
I kind of thought the same thing when he said it, because he didn't reference the sport, but then I had to readjust my thinking really quick.
That's how we all.
I was like, oh yeah, the Super Bowl was last night, you know. It was. I actually only watch it for the commercials, to be perfectly honest, and it just so happened that it turned out to be a great game too. Normally, the games are not so much fun, but anyways, yeah, maybe we should talk about the commercials too. That'd be a.
Well, I look forward to seeing all of you
Joe,
guys at LT19 next year.
Absolutely, absolutely. Take care. Have a good one. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. You guys are all fantastic. What a great showing. Really appreciate the support and everybody hanging out with us today. Lots of new faces and hanging out in the chat. Thank you all. We really, really appreciate that. I hope you all enjoyed today's show. I hope you got some value from it. Again, let me just continue to push that point home. And if you do not feel like you're getting value from what we're doing here every single day, this is professional development. So anything we can do to help you get better at the work of training, learning, and development, that's why we're here. So for everybody who is a strong part of this community, to all of you who are just joining us for the first time, thank you so much. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow. Ba-da-ba-da-da-da-da.